I'm Mr. MegaManFan, and if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and leave a comment below. This is part 2 on trying to set up and play the Evercade versus console. You've already seen what happened the first time I set it up, and as a bonus, I included the unboxing footage a couple of days ago, so we don't need to re-unbox it. It's the exact same contents, just a brand new console that was sent to me by Amazon to replace the one that had been bricked. To their credit, Evercade did provide me with some instructions on how to recover a bricked system, but by that point I had already made the return and they had already sent the replacement order through, so there was no need for those instructions unless this console bricked on the firmware update too. So I didn't throw away the instructions that they sent me. I just kept them in reserve in case the same thing happened again. And as before, it's doing the network connection, setting things up, and downloading an update after I scroll through the end user license agreement. But what happened after I downloaded the update was a little different than the previous time, and you'll see momentarily. So, it finishes downloading the update, and it gives me the same notice that it's going to restart in 5 seconds. But this time, when I do, it doesn't just sit on a Blaze Entertainment logo endlessly with no hope in sight. At first, I had no way to know for sure that anything was happening. It looked like it was going through the same process as last time where it just froze here. But then it switched to the Versus logo and it said recovery start, which was kind of weird to me because recovery was what they were telling me to do on the previous model, and I was not doing any recovery. I did not have anything plugged into USB or anything on a thumb drive or any such setup that would consider a recovery an option. But apparently that's just how the system reacted to the firmware update. It was like, okay, running error checks, and we don't like this, so installation aborted? What? So yeah, I sat there for almost 3 minutes on the Versus logo and then just decided to cycle the power for shits and giggles and see what would happen. I figured we were just going to get stuck on the Blaze Entertainment logo again, and at first it seemed that way. But after a little bit, it did something different. What? Oh, damned. And that was pretty much my reaction from this point forward, because suddenly everything just worked. I don't know if it actually installed a firmware or reverted to the previous firmware or just did nothing at all despite downloading an update. But whatever it did or didn't do, it now actually functions as a console. I put in the Intellivision cartridge, I selected a game, and away we go. So this now automatically makes this better than the Intellivision Amico, because I'm playing Intellivision games on a console in 2022 that's brand new, and the Amico is never, ever, 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 ever coming out. So for $130 plus tax and what, 15 to 20 bucks for the Intellivision cartridge, that's about $150 to play Intellivision games versus $300 plus for some vaporware console that's circling the drain and has been for 4 years now, but I digress. There's more than just the Amico, if it ever did come out, or the Evercade, if you really wanted to play Intellivision games. There's multiple compilations called Intellivision Lives on a bunch of different platforms, and there is, of course, emulation if you prefer to go that way. But it is nice to have a physical console with a physical cartridge inserted into it that plays classic Intellivision games. So I was tickled pink to see that this actually worked. Not sure why this particular console worked when the first one bricked, but at least now it seems like what they said was true, that something was just a little bit off about day one consoles and the firmware, and they immediately pulled it. And whatever they did since then, either the later batches of consoles didn't have that problem, or the firmware got resolved before I got the new one in the mail, because now it's working like it's supposed to. And of course, the point of the Versus isn't simply to play Intellivision games. There are many different compilations on many different cartridges from many different studios. So if you want to play some old school Worms games, there's a Worms collection. You want to play some Atari Lynx games, there's a Lynx collection. You want to play Mega Cat Studios? Well, there's a Mega Cat Studios collection, which I'm about to show you momentarily. But the nice thing about the Versus, well, one of many nice things about the Versus, is it has 2 cartridge ports, so you can actually load up different collections at the same time and select from different games in either one of them. And as my friend Ryan noted in a previous comment on an Evercade video, some of the compilations actually work in tandem, that if you have them both loaded into a cartridge slot, it adds a bonus game or several that's not listed on the box for either cartridge. Like, if you have Atari Collection 1 and 2 in the Versus at the same time, you get bonus games that aren't listed on either box. But it's hit or miss which cartridges will offer bonus games and which won't. They don't tell you that. You're left to explore that and figure it out for yourself. In fact, there's a menu on the Evercade Versus called Secret that doesn't even do anything yet. It's just there, and it has some sort of password system, but the people behind the Versus haven't revealed what it's for, and I don't think anybody has hacked the firmware to figure out what it could be done, but it's there. Maybe it'll be a way to add games to the Versus at some date in the future, or who knows. It's a mystery right now. Sometimes it's actually nice for things to be a mystery instead of all being explained. It means there's more to explore with the Evercade Versus. There's more to come and more to look forward to. So I'm pretty happy now. I was a little dismayed when I set it up the first time and things went south right away, but now that I have a tested and working Evercade Versus, I'm pretty stoked about exploring these different libraries of games, some that I'm familiar with and some that I have never ever tried before, like Little Medusa. This is my first time ever playing Little Medusa, and I wasn't quite sure what to make of it. At first glance, it appeared to be a top-down Legend of Zelda type game where you explore dungeons and fight monsters and collect items. And then, once I froze an enemy in place and pushed it to the side, I was like, oh no, this is more like a Pengo or a Kickle Cubicle type game. But then I couldn't seem to clear a path from one side of the room to the other. I thought, if I can freeze these enemies and shove them, then I should be able to shove them into the holes and move where the holes are and get to the other side where the treasure is. But it didn't work that way for whatever reason. Like, I know there's something on this other side, and I can shove enemies. You see, there's one that I shoved. There's another that I shoved. And, okay, it looks like I opened paths to the left and the right, but what about to the top and the bottom? What's up there where those 2 stars are? And then as I'm trying to freeze enemies, I end up getting killed. Obviously, I need a little practice on Little Medusa, no pun intended, but see here, I shoved an enemy and it looks like I made a path, but that tile is still broken, and for whatever reason, I can't walk across it. And this stone gaze that I fire doesn't help me build the path either, so I'm missing something here. I don't know what it is I have to do, but I died again, so it doesn't really matter. Point is, Evercade Versus is now something I can explore, and I look forward to exploring it. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. Thank you to Blaze Entertainment for helping me with my issues, and I'll see you all in a future video.